Hello, everybody. Okay, it looks like things are working now. So welcome to the New Health Conversation. Well, welcome everybody. For those that are joining us today, this is the New Health Conversation. My name is Peter Greenlaw. I'm actually the researcher of the research. This is live. This is not a recording. We give no recorded material. Everything we're going to share with you today is our own research. This is the book we're going to discuss today. It's called Why Diets Are Failing Us. And then my second book is called the TDOS Syndrome. We'll talk a little bit about that today. The TDOS Syndrome is an actual medical syndrome, a registered trademark U.S. Patent Office. And then TDOS Solutions, which we are going to talk a lot about today. And then my fourth book is called Your Third Brain. The reason I'm telling you this is I want you to understand that I'm not just some person just giving you opinions. One thing we'll say at the New Health Conversation, we do not give you any opinions because opinions don't matter. At any point, we've provided for you a free research site where you can go at any point. Let me put it up there for you. And on that site, you'll see only medical evidence. There's no celebrity endorsements. As a matter of fact, if you go to that site, no one's going to contact you. But if you like what you see, we offer free consultations, because what we're going to talk about today in discussing, why diets are failing us is really, life-changing. And the point is that rather than, with all due respect to all these providers that I see on social media in general, they're giving you opinions, okay? And what's the general consensus? The general consensus is that every diet out there, the only way to lose weight, and they're all code words for lowering calories, let's be honest. Whether it's time-restricted eating, this big, phase where you don't eat for 16 hours, eat for 8, paleo, keto, Mediterranean, Jenny Craig, Weight Watchers, Nutrisystem, fasting, Cornish, lose weight for your blood type. I'm not disparaging any of them, but at the end of the day, they're all some approach to show you how to lower calories. The problem with lowering calories is that the body doesn't respond to calories. That's what we wrote about. One of the things we wrote about in this book is, why are we counting calories? What we need to be doing is make every calorie count. So in the book, we talked about, and you can see it on the research site, that the before and afters are unbelievable, and they're not retouched. Just to give you an idea how amazing it is, men and women with no exercise allowed, because they didn't want exercise to be part of there's 7 new peer-reviewed human trial studies that now, years later, finally back up everything this book I wrote in 2010. Then we did a subsequent update about 4 years later, and now these new studies are blowing everything away. But they validated that the thing about counting calories is ridiculous, because the human body doesn't know what a calorie is. So when you lower calories, what else you're lowering? You're lowering your nutrition. And when you lower nutrition, the body does 2 things that are really bad for you. Again, we're writing about it in the book. Keep in mind, I'm the author. You're actually talking to the person who has been a nutritional researcher for 21 years, and I'm not trying to impress you, but I want to impress upon you. I've done 20 shows on PBS. I was interviewed on the 4 biggest daytime shows in America, and I've done over 1,500 lectures all over the world, including in China. So when I come to you with, despite all of that, I don't want you to believe me, but what we've done in all of our books and on the research site, we only show you peer-reviewed medical evidence. We don't give you opinions. We don't make claims. We don't have to do that. This is all original content. This first book, which I wrote in conjunction with Dr. Dennis Harper, a medical doctor, and actually my oldest son. It took us over 10 years to write this. And then subsequently, in the last 14 years since we wrote it, many studies have come out to prove exactly what we were, talking about before. So again, this is a free research site for you to go to. Let me put it up here again. The New Health. Okay, hold on just a second. So really what we're discussing today is my book, Why Diets Are Failing Us. That's not really the cover, but I'll show you the cover in a moment. Here's the actual book. But I'm the actual author. And what we're doing is I've done over 1,500 lectures live around the world, and then COVID came and everything stopped. So first I discovered Zoom, that was great. And then recently I discovered TikTok, which has been just amazing in terms of a forum to allow me to bring really the medical proof to you. We're not here to impress you. We're not here to convince you. We're not here to sell you anything. We're here to show you the medical evidence. Well, actually, you can see it at the research site. It's free to go there. And if you like what you see, listen, How excited would you be if you could lose as much weight in a week safely as in 8 weeks of any diet? Most women wrote about it in the book and have before and afters to prove it, but the medical proof we now have, where men and women in the studies that are now here, they reduced their visceral fat, that's the fat around the organs, by 33% in 8 weeks. No one exercised. They lost no water weight, and they ended up gaining 6 to 9% lean muscle mass with no exercise allowed. There's no diet on the planet like that. I'm not disparaging diets. I'm just telling you the reality. You can now look and you can see them on that research site, the New England Journal of Medicine, the Journal of the American Medical Association, showing you the real results of diets. One of the studies that you will see is from the New England Journal of Medicine. It's 12 months long. They took one group of people where they had them lower calories, then another group of people where they did time-restricted eating, where you don't eat for 16 hours, you eat for 8. What was the medical evidence? Well, after a year, people lowering calories lost 16 pounds in a year, and the people doing time-restricted eating lost 12.6 pounds in a year. But right in the study, what did they say? The people doing the time-restricted eating or the calorie restriction lost lean muscle mass. There's your Achilles heel. Again, that's what we write about it in the book. That yes, you can lose weight on any diet. Let's establish that. It's not up for debate. But what kind of weight are you losing? And what are you doing to yourself in the meantime, right? So at any point, you're welcome. I'm actually the author. I'm live. It's here. I'll answer questions, etc. But first, I want to just kind of give you the framework. So the New Health Conversation, that research site where you can go for free. I promise I didn't put it up there. I wonder, oh my goodness. Sorry, shame on me. There you go. And also notice this is the researcher of researchers. That's me. I didn't do the research, but I brought the research to the world. And like I said, I've written 4 best-selling books. This is the first one, Why Diets Are Failing Us. Then the TDOS syndrome, which every one of you has this syndrome, whether you know it or not. It's a registered trademark, U.S. Patent Office. Then we wrote TDOS Solutions, and our 4th book called Your Third Brain. That's not a trick title. I wrote it. We can't see him here, but with the #1 oncologist in the world. All my books I wrote with medical doctors, but I want to be clear. I'm the researcher of the researchers, but we only bring you medical proof. We do not bring you opinions. Opinions don't mean anything. If you want to rely on opinions, there's plenty of people on social media that can give you opinions. But here's what I would say. Have any of them brought to you one shred of medical evidence? And especially, you'll hear the term, well, they have a scientific paper. There's scientific evidence. That doesn't mean anything in the medical world. I know, because for 20 years, after having written 4 best-selling books, was on PBS 20 different times, was interviewed on the 4 biggest daytime shows in America, and did 1,500 lectures all over the world. None of that meant a thing to the medical world. Aha, well, that all changed about 14 or 15 months ago when 7 peer-reviewed studies came to light. The researchers did the research. So understand, it's not my research. I'm just sharing you the real information. Nothing is made up. It's not copied. It's in the public domain. They found that men and women were losing by doing this new protocol, which is not a diet. It has nothing to do with counting calories, actually. It really, if anything, it was what they were looking for because of the TDOS syndrome, which is, again, registered trademark, U.S. Patent Office, and every one of you, including me and everybody in the world, has TDOS syndrome. What is it? Well, we're ingesting chemicals in water, air, and food. And as we ingest those chemicals, they're really kind of altering our hormones and kind of reprogramming our bodies to gain weight, believe it or not. And there's a pretty amazing quote in the book. Counting calories is the most common diet method. Estimated millions of Americans are on diets daily. One of the great misconceptions about weight loss is that reducing calories will permanently reduce body weight. Unfortunately, the calorie had become the weight loss measuring stick for the consumption of food and nutrition. You know the drill. People who count calories are constantly counting, reducing, restricting, rearranging, all to achieve weight loss, better health, and better well-being. But they're missing the critical component. What's the critical component? The human body doesn't know what a calorie is. A calorie is just a measurement. It's the amount of heat it takes to raise a gram of water 1 degree Celsius. It's not a real thing. And what we're really facing is much more insidious than just counting or lowering calories, okay? And that is, let me read from one of the top toxicologist researchers in the world. So you don't, again, in our books, we're reading from our books. So we're not making up anything. This isn't reproduced content. This is our content in our books that we wrote. Listen to this. Dr. Paula Bailey Hamilton, a medical doctor and visiting fellow in occupational environmental health at Stirling University in Scotland. She's also considered to be one of the world's leading authorities on toxic chemicals and their effects on our health. She believes that what appears to be happening is that our natural slimming system is being poisoned by toxic chemicals we encounter in our everyday lives, and this damage is making it increasingly difficult for our bodies to control their weight. The end result is that we gain weight in the form of fat and not muscle, as chemicals tend to cause muscles to shrink and body fat to accumulate. What are you doing about that? What are you doing about storing the chemicals in your fat cells that are actually decreasing our lean muscle more? Even then you go on a diet and you lower calories and lower nutrition. Do you see what's going on? We have 80% of America overweight and 50% of those people are obese. Does anyone really think that diets are working? We only are presenting you the medical research that we've done for 21 years to make it easier for you to at least have an option. We don't have to make up anything. I guess that's what I'm saying. And with all due respect, I see all these people on social media, medical doctors, chiropractors, people with like 10 million followers. But what are they telling you? The same old mantra over and over. The only way, insulin resistance, 10,000 steps, exercise, 3 meals to lose weight. I mean, maybe it's just me. But what's the outcome here? 80% of Americans are overweight and 50% are obese. 50% are pre-diabetic. But it's getting worse. That's what you have to understand. We have more diets. We wrote this book 14 years ago. It's way worse now. I think in the book we talked about obesity was around 33%. In 2018, it was 42%. So the rate of increase, listen to this, in 2024, 6 years later, 2018, 42%. 2024, 50% obese. And worldwide, there was a huge study done out of England, the Lancet. It's the #1 medical journal in the world. I'm quoting from the study. You can go and look it up. We don't make things up. We don't have to make things up. In the study, they said now more than 1 billion people worldwide are clinically obese, not overweight, and that obesity is now the leading form of malnutrition worldwide. What? You went on to say, most people don't know that being obese or being underweight are both forms of malnutrition because people aren't getting the right amounts of vitamins, minerals, nutrients, and the calories, the nutrients necessary to be healthy. We're consuming huge amounts of calories. Who's telling you about the only thing that matters is what's in the calorie? You know, even when you hear this thing about, well, eat whole foods, yeah, that's good. But they did a study on organic, 200 different studies. Comparing organic to regular food, it was a little bit better nutritionally. And the main reason to eat it is it's less polluted. That's why I do it. Okay. So in the studies, after 38 years of analyzing every diet out there, they found that here were some givens. One, no matter what the diet name was, people lost weight. But here was the interesting part. They had people, they would call them non-responders. What does that mean? It means they put the same people on paleo, keto, Mediterranean. Some people did lose weight, but there were people who lost nothing. That's called a non-responder, okay? Well, in these 7 new peer-reviewed human trial studies, which we're bringing to light, there were no non-responders. It was 80% women, 20% men, no one allowed to exercise. I mean, my God, the average, they lost on average in a week what took 8 weeks on any diet, lost in a month what took a year on any diet. I know it sounds crazy. And instead of losing water or lean muscle mass, which is the case on every diet, and again, we write about it in our book, they gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass, lowered belly fat by 33% in 8 weeks. I've said it before. Any of the ladies on here, ladies on this podcast, the average women we see lose at least 1 dress size in just the first 7 days because it's not a diet. It doesn't work like that. Its main function, which they went after, could we enhance our own body's ability to remove chemicals stored in our fat cells? They proved it. They did blood, stool, urine, and fat analysis. No diets ever produced anything like that. And I'm not trashing diets. I'm just giving you the medical proof. I don't want you to believe me, okay? But like I said, I've devoted 21 years of my life to working literally, and I'm not telling you to impress you, I want to impress upon you. I've worked with some of the top medical doctors, oncologists, molecular biologists, geneticists, nutraceutical researchers in the whole world. And guess what their goals been before I met them? They were chasing down the silver bullet for health and weight loss. Notice I said health first. We know that, for example, being overweight, according to Harvard Medical School, contributes up to 60 known diseases. So this isn't about fat shaming or any crazy stuff like that. And I can speak to this from my heart. My own mother was morbidly obese. I never knew her thin. I never knew her healthy. And 23 years ago, she called me up one day and said, you know, Peter, I have one really big wish in my life. I said, Mom, what's that? She said, I would give anything to spend 24 hours thin. I can't even imagine what that would look like. She wasn't asking for a week. She wasn't asking for a month. She wasn't asking for a year, just 24 hours. Well, 6 months later, massive heart attack and stroke. My mother did about every diet that was out there. She did the grapefruit diet, she did cabbage diet, she did Weight Watchers, she did OptiFast, she would cut diets out of the National Enquirer, out of it wasn't U.S. News Report then. I guess it was, but I'm talking about Reader's Digest, that's what I was thinking. So I really became angry. And really, it's a long story, I won't bore you with all the details. That's really how I became a nutritional researcher. You have an opportunity, you know what you get to do that my mom didn't? You get to do a do-over, or not. It's up to you. But if you think conventional diet of lowering calories is the way to go, then you're flying in the face of the research. See, what we've got going for us, I'm going to read a quote from another book here. This is called Beating the Food Giants. And what they said, the organ which controls our craving for food is called the apostat. It's located at the base of the brain, possibly in the hypothalamus, an area of the pituitary gland. The apostat is constantly monitoring the blood for nutrient content, not calories. Only when 51 nutrients are present at their proper levels will the individual feel entirely full and satisfied. If any one nutrient is missing, the individual feels hungry. Well, that's what they proved in the Lancet study. 1 billion people worldwide are clinically obese, and it's the leading form, making obesity the leading form of malnutrition. That's why. Yeah, the people are getting lots of calories, but what about the nutrients? Because the nutrients are the only thing the body cares about. It doesn't care about a calorie. It doesn't measure calories. When we're hungry, we're not hungry for calories. If you just that part there, if you could just get that straight, it has nothing to do with the amount of calories. It only has to do with how much nutrition. In another great book that, again, we only quote from real sources. We don't make things up. Okay, we're giving them credit. It's The New American Diet by Stephen Print, editor-at-large at Men's Health. Here's what they say about nutrition, which is one of the most powerful quotes I've ever heard. The more nutrition you give your body, the fewer calories it wants to eat, and the more efficiently it burns the calories you do eat. Let me repeat that. The more nutrition you give your body, the fewer calories it wants to eat, and the more efficiently it burns the calories you do eat. That's what in the studies that we have talked about in the books, that's what the researchers knew. So what did they do? They said, well, we can't just rely, because they put people on diets for 38 years, lowering, food. The problem was that they were also lowering nutrition, and they learned that most of what people were losing was their lean muscle mass. They came off the diet, they gained everything back. Before I forget again, let me put this in here for all of you. This is our free research site. You can go there. We're not going to contact you, but if you like what you see, you can actually sign up for a free consultation, and I mean free. So again, you'll notice, you can see it right there. It's a research site. There's nothing to buy. There's no celebrity endorsements, but there is an interview with the #1 nutritional researcher in the world who conducted the studies that I'm referencing. You got to understand that what they did as researchers, after 38 years of figuring out hundreds of ways not to lose weight and keep it off, that was the key. It wasn't that they didn't lose weight on every diet. Every diet out there, people lost weight, but 40% of what people were losing was their lean muscle mass. There's the Achilles heel to all diets. See, when you let's forget calories. Let's just talk about food intake. You're going to eat less food. That's the theory, right? Well, but what else, besides lowering food, what else are you lowering? Nutrition. And because the body only runs on nutrition, when you drop that nutrition, there's not enough fuel to go around. The body, so it goes looking, it panics, it goes and looks for nutrition. Where does it find it? In our organs, in our brain, kidney, liver, heart, starting in our muscles. It literally, this is proven medically. This isn't something I'm making up. It breaks our muscles down, converting them into carbohydrates, and two of the most unhealthy things happen to us. Period. One, the body doesn't have a choice. It slows down metabolism. But not just metabolism like when you're working out, but the most important part of metabolism we have is what's called your basal metabolic rate. What's that mean? It means the rate at which you burn calories when you're sleeping or sitting at your desk or not working out, right? But the other thing it does, again, this is proven, you lose lean muscle mass, it inhibits the functionality of your own immune system. So this is a lot more than just fitting into your skinny jeans. We never even said in the book, or in the books, all 4 books we've written, that diets don't cause you to lose weight. But what kind of weight are you losing? What are you doing? Is your diet doing something for you, or is your diet doing something to you? That's the most important thing. And why do we let you go to the research site for free? There's no gimmicks there. There's nothing to buy. We don't want you to buy our books because we put basically the outcome of these medical studies on that research site for you. And if you like what you see, you can sign up. It's free, a free consultation. Now, why would we do that? Because we don't know anything about you. Do you want to gain weight? Do you want to lose weight? Are you young? Are you old? Do you exercise? Many variables, many variables, okay? We think it's worth the time. Okay, so me personally, I've devoted 21 years of my life to research. I'm going to put the research site up there for you again. It's free to go there. And you can sign up for a free consultation if you want. Whoops, let me post it. I'm just typing in the name of the site. So, you can see it there at the top, the New Health Conversation. Anyway, so the idea is here, we're not trying to sell you books. We don't need to do that. If you decide, that's great, but that's not the purpose. The purpose of the New Health Conversation medical research site is to give you a choice. You can certainly go with any of the programs out there. They're all based on lowering calories. But you can understand the long-term studies now. There was a study done in the Journal of the American Medical Association, 12 months. They looked at 48 different studies, 7,286 people, pretty much at every kind of diet you've ever seen in your life, right? What they found at the end of 12, and they named them all, paleo, keto, Mediterranean, fasting, time-restricted eating, the Cornish diet, the zone diet, the lose weight for your blood type, Jenny Craig, Weight Watchers, Nutrisystem, etc. At the end of 12 months, when they looked at, here's what I'm saying. This way, diet, hello, this is medical proof, okay, not opinions. In a year's time, the difference in weight between those on the least amount lost on any diet to the most amount of weight lost was 10 ounces in a year. And the average weight loss in 12 months, it didn't matter what the diet was 16 pounds. That's what you're doing. But now the added thing you have to understand is they also proved in the studies that every diet out there that it was anywhere from 20, 30, 40% of what the weight being lost was lean muscle. And what happens given the body slows down your metabolism? That's why you plateau on a diet. That's why you come off the diet, you gain everything back. Again, for the new people coming on, this is what we've been discussing. Why diets are failing us, and actually, this is the actual book. I'm actually the author, so I'm not just making comments. I'm not, I'm not reproducing my own material. I mean, this is what we did, 21 years of research. And again, not just this book, but this is the big thing you all should be concerned about, called the TDOT syndrome, which the T stands for toxicity, the D for deficiency, the O for being overweight, and the S for stress. Everybody on this podcast, everybody in the world has TDOT syndrome, which is, to explain it to you, we know now, we didn't know until 2005, as we ingest chemicals in the water, the air, the food, what the body's doing is taking the chemical and stuffing it inside our fat cells. No diet deals with that. Zero. Well, in these 7 new peer-reviewed human trial studies, where they looked at blood, stool, urine, and fat analysis, this protocol, which is not a diet, was assisting the body. The body is really what's doing it. It's not, but the protocol, now let me explain to the people that are still on here about what in the world did they do in these studies to produce. Let's just go over the high points. Number 1, it was 80% women, 20% men, no one allowed to exercise. And yet, they lost as much weight in 7 days as 8 weeks of any diet. They lost as much weight in 30. It's right in the studies. If you go to the New Health Conversation right there, the research site, you'll see the studies. There's nothing to make up. There's nothing to fake. It's right there. okay? I'm going to put it up there again for everyone, the new health conversation. I always spell it wrong. I can't spell. Okay, this is it's a free research site, library. You can call it whatever you want to do. You can go and see all the medical. It's free. No one's going to contact you. There's no celebrity endorsements. There's nothing. No nonsense. And if you like what you see, you can sign up for a free consultation. And I mean free. No gimmicks. Not somebody at 800 number trying to sell you something. Because we don't know anything about you. What do you want us to just give you? Oh, what if you're a diabetic? What if you have high blood pressure? What if you just want more energy? What if you want to sleep better? So many variables. Because this whole protocol, which is called R2M, by the way, R2M, that's what it's called. I'll put it in the chat for you. So it's the R2M protocol. It's what they did in the studies. It's not a diet. And what does R2M stand for? Race to maintenance. Because the whole key here is not just, look, the weight loss is like, it's a given. The researchers didn't set out to create another diet. They'd already, so to review, the researchers who did the research that we talk about in our books, they looked at every diet that was in almost 40 years. I guess it's 39 years now. And they found some interesting things. Number one, every diet, people lost weight. But also every time, every person lost between 25 and 40% of their lean muscle mass. And they came off the diet and they gained all their weight back. Why? Because when you're losing lean muscle mass, your body doesn't have a choice. Slows your metabolism down. Now you can't burn as many calories. That's why you plateau. Or you come off the diet and you gain everything back. There's a really nice young woman. I've been following her. She's on TikTok. She lost 60 pounds last year. I've been following her now for, 2 or 3 months. I just check in. She hasn't lost another pound in weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. I mean, I hate to tell her, but what she's done is the weight loss is fantastic. But if up to 40% of that is lean muscle mass, what the experts say, to regain 1 pound of lean muscle, if you work out and go to the gym and do everything perfectly, it'll take a year to regain 1 pound of lean muscle. This is why we have 80% of America overweight. It's not that people don't want to diet. It's not that people don't have motivation. But they're using the wrong approach. Although, did you know that counting calories, I'll read this, it's pretty amazing. The similarities in diets from hundreds of years ago until now are striking. Very little has changed. Dieting goes back at least as far as the 3rd century BC, according to Louis Foxcroft, author of Calories and Corsets, A History of Dieting, over 2,000 years. We've been counting calories for that long, but it's getting worse. When we wrote this book in 2010, 14 years ago, obesity was around 32, 33%. By 2018, it was 42%. But what's more alarming is from 2018 to 2024, it's now 50%. That's a 24% increase in 6 years. So the acceleration of the problem is occurring. You can do any diet you want. We have hundreds of people that come on these podcasts. And, I would say for the majority of them, the skepticism keeps them sort of getting in their own way. The only thing that can hold you back is yourself. It's not us. Are you fighting harder for your limitations? Holding on to those beliefs, including myself for a long time until it became my mom. She spent her whole life believing that the way to lose weight was to lower calories. And when this diet didn't work, she switched diets, but she was just another form of, whether it was the cabbage soup diet, the grapefruit diet, the banana diet, the South Beach diet, the Atkins diet, didn't matter. I often find sometimes, that the reward for me has been after 20, I've been a nutritional researcher for 21 years, actually going on 22. But for 20 of those years, that was before I'd even written a book, but when I started the research and was researching this protocol, which has really changed it was invented about 25 years ago, but it's gone through, I don't know how many iterations, to the point now where these new studies, which back up everything we wrote about in the books, they're shocking the medical world. No one's seen results like this before. I'm going to show you again. This is the free research site. You can go there if you want. And there's no tricks. We're not strong arm you 800. We're not doing an 800 number to convince you or bait and switch. Honestly, in order for us to at least explain to you what is going on, we need to know, do you want to gain weight, lose weight? Because there's all different factors. This is, first and foremost, there's only one reason to do this, and that's to combat this medical syndrome, which is a registered trademark, U.S. Patent Office. Now, the TDOS syndrome is a real medical syndrome. Every one of you, every person in the world has TDOS syndrome, whether they know it or not. So what we're doing to survive the body, we're evolving as a species. And we're actually storing chemicals in our fat cells as the body's protection, so that these chemicals aren't just willy-nilly running around inside our body. They are, even to some extent. There has to be some reason why 80% of Americans are overweight and 50% of those people are obese. You know, it's not just, I was on this years ago, but it wasn't until 2005, you know, a couple years after I started, that Mount Sinai Medical School did a study on human beings, first time ever in history, proving we were storing chemicals inside of us. And now, you know, world-class experts have, you know, gotten involved, and they're saying, here's one of the top toxicologists in the world, Dr. Paula Bailey Hamilton. She is considered one of the world's leading authorities on toxic chemicals and their effects on our health. She believes that, this is quote, what appears to be happening is that our natural slimming system is being poisoned by toxic chemicals we encounter in our everyday lives. And this damage is making it increasingly difficult for our bodies to control their weight. The end result is we gain weight in the form of fat and not muscle, as chemicals tend to cause muscles to shrink and body fat to accumulate. Like I told you, the TDOS syndrome. We're storing these chemicals inside of our fat cells. To give you an even more perspective, this is a great book. I'm giving them credit. The New American Diet, written by Stephen Perrin, editor-at-large at Men's Health, and they want this information to get out. Here's what they say about these, about basically the chemicals that we wrote about in the TDOS syndrome. They actually have a name. Listen to this. Those chemicals, that herbicides, pesticides, Scotch, Teflon, they have a name. They're called obesogens. And they go on to say, that's a scary word, and one you've probably never heard before. But if you want to lose weight and keep it off for good and protect your body, your family, and your environment in the bargain, you'll need to understand the term. Simply put, obesogens are chemicals that disrupt the function of our hormonal systems, leading to weight gain and many of the diseases that curse the American populace. They enter our bodies from a variety of sources, from natural compounds found in soy products, from artificial hormones fed to our animals, from plastic pollutants in some food packaging, from chemicals added to processed foods, and from pesticides sprayed on our produce. They act in a variety of ways, mimicking human hormones such as estrogen, blocking the action of other hormones such as testosterone, and altering the function of our genes and essentially reprogram us to gain weight. What are you doing about that? What are you doing about obesogens? Did you even know about obesogens before today? I would doubt that you do. So few people do. I mean, it sounds like it's been around a long time, but they only even started doing the research back in 2005, 19 years ago, almost 20 years ago now. Like I said, you know, I lost my mother to obesity. I can't tell you what I would, in those days, it would have been a phone call, but what I would have paid to be in a phone call. All we want to do is give you an option. If you want to continue to do diets and ignore the new research, that's up to you. Buyer beware. But when we went back and we actually looked at this book, which I can't believe we wrote it in 2010, then we did an updated version, I don't know, it was 4 or 5 years later, and now 14 years later, now they have the medical proof backing up everything. What we wrote about in the book was very controversial. We said, why are we counting calories? Instead of counting calories, we need to make every calorie count. But people laughed at us, says, well, the only way to lose weight is to lower calories. You'll see it. Find me a influencer right now that's not telling you that some form of lowering calories. And they talk about insulin resistance and all these things. It doesn't mean anything. Only thing that should matter to you is the medical proof, not opinions. But when we have a world expert like Paula Bailey Hamilton, you know, Dr. Paula Bailey Hamilton, you know, she's considered one of the world's leading authorities on toxic chemicals and their effects on our health. She believes she says, what appears to be happening is that our natural slimming system is being poisoned by toxic chemicals we encounter in everyday lives, and this damage is making it increasingly difficult for our bodies to control their weight. The end result is we gain weight in the form of fat and not muscle, as chemicals tend to cause muscles to shrink and body fat to accumulate. How much more evidence do we need to say, wait a minute, no diet deals with that. No diet has anything to do with that up to this point. Well, in these new studies, which in this book, and remember, you don't have to buy any of my books. Forget it. That's why we're giving you the opportunity to go to that medical research site. I'll put it up there again for you. Hold on. The New Health Conversation. We're not going to contact you if you go there. There's nothing to buy because we don't know anything about you. But if you want, you can sign up for a free consultation. I mean free. No gimmicks, no tricks. And if you like what you see, sign up. We're not going to convince you. If you sign up for the free consultation, we don't need to do that. We have the science behind us. With all due respect, I look at all these other providers, people coming on with, some of them got a lot of stuff after their name. The one thing missing is any peer-reviewed human trial evidence for what they're speculating. I know there's people on, they got 10 million followers. But just because look, I am the researcher, you can see it there, I'm the researcher of the researchers. I'm clear with that. It's not my research. But I've spent almost 22 years of my life now working with some of the top medical doctors, oncologists, molecular biologists, geneticists, and nutraceutical researchers in the world. I'm not giving you my opinion. That's why I wrote 4 best-selling books, all with medical doctors, because I wanted their credibility. Not that I don't think that, chiropractors or naturopaths, but again, the gold standard in our world is an MD. And what's interesting is they found it fascinating that the research that I had done was something they didn't necessarily even think about. I mean, it wasn't until 2005 we even knew we were storing chemicals in our body. Why would that surprise people, right? So what we're talking about for everybody, we've been discussing why diets are failing us. It's not some gimmick. It's not some game. We're not making things up. We have overwhelming evidence. I mean, like this first book. I don't know if anybody had written a book before, and maybe I wasn't that good. But this took us 10 years to write the first book. Why? Because things were emerging so rapidly. Like it was apparent that, there was a big thing for a long time where fat, saturated fat was horrible. Well, now we found out that there was a great book called Why Women Need Fat. And in that book, they proved that one of the worst things we ever did was go to, corn oils and Mazzolas and, whatever it was, that we would have been better off having lard and real butter all along. So that was a complete reversal. And how many times have they taken the food pyramid and turned it upside down, backside up, right side, left side? What are they chasing? Smoke. Because if we just were honest about the results, at the end of the day, where are we? 80% of Americans are overweight and 50% are obese. For the new people coming on, this is what we're talking about, why diets are failing us. But more importantly, in our books, all these books that I've written, and I'm the author. This is live. This is not a recording, okay? And all 4 of my books loaded with only medical evidence, no opinions. But what did they find in these new studies that weren't even about weight loss? Men and women in 7 days lost as much weight as anybody on a diet in 8 weeks, and they lost no water, and they gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass. Or in any diet you can show me, they're losing up to 40% of their lean muscle mass. Do you understand how bad that is? Because it slows your metabolism down. Then you can't burn as many calories. You come off the diet, you gain everything back. What I feel, I just want more people to be able to access this knowledge. And we're not selling you books. Be clear. We're not selling you books. That's not what we're doing. But that medical research site, it's got everything on there. You don't need to read my books. But most important, it's an interview with the #1 nutritional researcher in the world for the last almost 40 years. You know what they said? They'll never recommend a traditional diet to anyone ever again based on the new science. It would make no sense. He said, why would we recommend people going, because they've tested almost every diet out there for almost 40 years. He said, yeah, people lost weight on every diet, but it was always lean muscle mass, and they always gained all the weight back. The main reason to consider doing this is not to lose weight, but to assist your own body in removing the chemicals that we're storing inside of our fat cells, period, not up for debate. So I hope that this has been helpful. I hope this has been useful. And like I said, you can see it right there, the new health conversation. I'm going to type it one more time in case it scrolls up on the screen. That the medical evidence is there. There's nothing there to trick you. If you go there, we're not going to contact you. I promise you. There's no reason for us to contact you. We want you to look at the medical evidence, see the proof, see the breakdown of the studies, and then watch the interview with the #1 nutritional researcher in the world. But in closing, okay, what did they do? What was the secret? How in the world did men and women with no exercise lose as much weight in 7 days as 8 weeks of any diet, lose as much weight in a month as a year on any diet? Well, #1, they didn't go on a diet. That was #1. The researchers who had looked at every diet out there realized what was the flaw. The flaw was in every diet, at the end of the day, it was some form of less food coming in. But when less food came in, what else didn't come in? Nutrition. So what they did, how can we give people more nutrition, not necessarily more calories? That's the dilemma, right? So it'd be like if you could get 20 miles to the gallon in your car and they charge you $4 a gallon, or you go down the street, and making this up, of course, and you pay $6 a gallon. You say, what's wrong with you guys? What do you mean? They said, well, you don't understand, Peter. You can pay $4 and go 20 miles. You can pay $6 and go 100 miles. That's how the body works. The fewer calories, the fewer amount of food you need to run the body, the healthier you'll be. The problem is when you're restricting the food that's already almost nutritionally bankrupt from North America, you put your body in starvation mode. It goes and burns your muscles. It slows down your metabolism and also slows down your own immune system, which is a really bad thing. Where in these studies, which were based on, had nothing to do with calories. So what did they do? 40% of the food came from the grocery store. They gave people a list, proteins, fats, carbs, etc. But the other 60% came from sources around the world, from Russia, Mongolia, Manchuria, from Tibet in the Himalayas, from Nepal, from South America, New Zealand. Now, why was that important? Because they needed to figure out, could we give people the necessary nutrition where the body would never sink to going in starvation mode. That's what they did. So, and as it turned out, the people in the studies consume more calories than the people on any diet out there. Well, the reason it worked was in this book, they have the New American Diet by Stephen Perrin, editor-at-large at Men's Health. Here's what they talked about nutrition. This will make sense. How in the world did they consume more calories and lose weight 12 times faster than diets where people were lowering the calories? Here's why. The more nutrition you give your body, the fewer calories it wants to eat. Because the researchers found in 30 days, people's hunger went down 41%. Because again, they weren't hungry for calories. They were hungry for nutrition. They went on to say, so the more nutrition you give your body, the fewer calories it wants to eat, and the more efficiently it burns the calories you do eat. There's your answer. So what they were doing was giving the body 100 mile a gallon. So 1 gallon, I'm using an analogy, of course, drove them 100 miles. Where in order to go 100 miles on regular gas, it took 5 gallons. That's why it worked. And instead of people losing water or lean muscle mass with no exercise allowed, they gained 6 to 9% lean muscle because they were exposed to massive amounts of nutrition. Didn't matter how many calories. They consumed more calories than the people that are on the other diets. Look, I know it sounds like science fiction. I know it's hard to wrap your mind around it. Because I see all the other, influences that are on here. And I don't fault them. And what are they telling you? That the only way to lose weight is to lower calories? Not really. I mean, our first book was a huge success. And then we said, instead of counting calories, we need to make every calorie count. And then the other thing we said, the enemy is not calories, it's toxins. I explained to you what one of the top, toxicologists in the world said, that, not my opinion, that Dr. Paula Bailey Hamilton said that what appears to be happening is that our natural swimming system is being poisoned by toxic chemicals we encounter in our everyday lives, and this damage is making it increasingly difficult for our bodies to control their weight. The end result is that we gain weight in the form of fat and not lose muscle, and not lose muscle. No, what am I saying? It is that we gain weight in the form of fat and not muscle, as chemicals tend to cause muscles to shrink and body fat to accumulate. What are you doing about that? Because paleo, keto, Mediterranean, none of these, the main thing on a diet is they're going to show you how to lose weight. And hopefully maybe you'll get a little bit healthier along the way. But in order to get there, if you're depriving your body of nutrition, because that's what you're doing, you're consuming food. I mean, we know that things, Cornell University did a study on spinach from 1953 to today. They say the iron levels in spinach have decreased, you ready for this? By 4,300%. Not 43%. But it's broccoli, it's spinach, it's cauliflower, it doesn't matter. And yes, eat organic, it's really good, but it's not because it's that much more nutritious than regular food. What's one of the things we're the most deficient in? What are called trace ionic minerals. You've all heard of iron, calcium, magnesium, chromium maybe. But there's 70 minerals that we need if we're going to be at optimum health. Now, if you want just good enough, go for it. Because you see, even in the best organic food, you're getting 15 to 20 minerals. Well, the researchers, they found sources where all 70 minerals were in the food they gave to the people in the studies. Doesn't it make sense? If your body needs 70 minerals and you're getting 20, your body has to compromise. It needs those, and it doesn't have them. So what's happening to us? We have this insatiable appetite, but it's not for calories. The body is screaming at us. We don't know how to listen. Listen in terms of what is the body asking us for? Not for calories, for nutrition. And that's what the researchers proved, okay? And I'm going to put it up here. So the research site you can go to if you want to. There it is, the New Health Conversation. You can go there for free. You can see the medical proof. There's an interview with the #1 nutritional researcher in the world. Then if you like what you see, because this is really complicated. I'm not saying that to scare you, but it's true. It's not a lotion, potion, pill, 3 diets to lose weight, 10,000 steps a day, make your mental attitude. I'm not saying any of those things are bad, but they don't work. I mean, it's nothing wrong with doing 10,000 steps, nothing wrong with going to the gym, but weight loss is not a strategy to lose weight. That's been proven over and over again for a really, really long time. And people just tend to think that, somehow you're going to beat this thing, that, it's diet and exercise. But it's not, I mean, see, it said, it is clear that getting an improper nutrient balance can be almost as bad as getting no nutrients at all. It's important to remember that the body's hunger mechanism is affected by the presence of nutrients, not just calories. I'm reading my own book and going, wow, this is really something else, The thing is that you can look at anything and say, I guess you can make something up and think, well, I'll be part of the 20% of the people in this country that are overweight or obese, because 80% are overweight and 50% are obese, and 50% of Americans are pre-diabetic and don't even know it. That means half of you on this podcast are pre-diabetic, you don't even know it. And then if you're pre-diabetic, okay, what's the next step? The next step is then you become, insulin resistance, and then they give you glucophage. Thank goodness we have those drugs. I'm not against them. And now they're giving people Ozempic and semaglutide, et cetera. Again, not against those either. But after nearly 40 years of research, the researchers feel they have cracked the code. They've found the silver bullet for weight loss. Aren't you just a little bit curious? I mean, if you could go on this with no exercise and lose as much weight in a week as in 8 weeks of any diet, instead of losing lean muscle mass, which is what will happen if you go on any diet. It's not up for debate. Every diet people are losing anywhere from 20 to 40% of the weight loss they're losing is their lean muscle. That's one of the most unhealthy things that could ever happen to you. So I would hope, this is what we've been discussing, why diets are failing us. And if you go to the research site, you can see it right there, the New Health Conversation. you'll see the medical studies on traditional diets, New England Journal of Medicine, Journal of the American Medical Association. And then to contrast with this new protocol, there are three major New England, in Obesity Journal, in the Nutrition Journal, and in Nature Communications, the number one medical journal in the world for weight loss and health. It's right there. And you get to see it. See, we don't have to put celebrities on there, give you a celebrity endorsement. We have to contact you. We won't contact you if you go there. You have a right to explore on your own. But if you do like what you see, we encourage you, sign up for a free consultation. It's 100% free. It doesn't cost anything. And you may decide you want to do the protocol, which is called R2M, the R2M protocol. So anyway, I hope you all can see the new health conversation. It's a free medical resource site. That's what it is. There's no hype on it. There's nothing to buy. Because the protocol that they use in the medical trials is exactly what, if you decide you want to know more, and we're not trying to be deceptive, it really is complicated. You can sign up for a free consultation, and I mean it's free. There's no gimmicks, there's no tricks, etc. So I don't know why I know why, because they're skeptical, and I understand. And I've said it over and over again. No, we don't want you don't have to buy my books. Okay, I've written 4 of them: Why Diets Are Failing Us, the TDOS Syndrome, the TDOS Solutions, and Your Third Brain. That's why we set up a free research site for you to go to. I mean, certainly if you want to buy my books, I won't be disappointed, but that's not the point of this podcast or any of our podcasts or anything that we're doing. Kathy, less muscle is needed to carry myself around now. I'm not sure what you're talking about, but less muscle. See, Kathy, the problem with losing lean muscle mass, if that's what's going on, again, I'm not going to give you an opinion. I'm going to give you the medical facts. When you lose lean muscle mass, your body does 2 incredibly unhealthy things to you, whether you know it or not. Number 1, your body doesn't have a choice. Burning muscle for fuel is one of the most unhealthy things because it's so inefficient. So what does the body do? It has to slow down your metabolism, meaning it can't burn as many calories when you're resting or sleeping or sitting at your desk. But the other thing it does is even more insidious, and that is it also reduces the effectiveness of your immune system. And I can deal with this because in 2010, I lost my younger brother to kidney cancer. My younger brother was 6'4", and at 8 months, when he died, he weighed 115 pounds. He was skin and bones. He literally lost all of his lean muscle. So again, I don't know, maybe you have some medical condition that I'm unaware of, etc. But again, that would be up to you. So if you go to this protocol. Shannon, you're 1,000,000,000% right. Shannon, you'll see in the studies, it's right there. Let me review for you, Shannon. Men and women were not allowed to exercise because they wanted to see if this protocol, what would happen to people, because what they were giving the body were more nutrition than if they consumed like 10,000 calories. And they suspected, remember, it was a theory at the point, if they did that, what would be the impact, for example, on lean muscle mass? Well, as it turned out, the men and women in the studies who were not allowed to exercise literally lost as much weight in 7 days as 8 weeks of any diet that they've ever, and these researchers were the top weight loss researchers in the world for almost 40 years. So they had plenty of experience, right? And when they did blood, stool, urine, and fat analysis, and muscle obviously was part of that, they were shocked to find out that in a month, the people in the studies, again, no exercise, they lost as much weight as people in a year. But what shocked them, they lost no water, and they gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass without exercise. Shannon, let me clarify for you. The researchers weren't against exercise, but they had to eliminate exercise, or then it would have been, well, it was diet and exercise, that's why they lost weight. Listen, Shannon, in 8 weeks, they shrank it's called visceral fat, that's the fat around our organs, also referred as belly fat. That shrank by 33% in 8 weeks because you and me and everybody in the world we're suffering from this medical syndrome called TDOS, stands for toxicity driven by nutritional deficiency, causing us to be overweight and stress. And why is that? because the body, to protect us as we're ingesting these chemicals, is stuffing it inside our fat cells. No diet has ever been seen to reduce, to remove chemicals from the body. Now, to let you know, so that you don't think I'm just making things up, let me read from one of the top toxicology researchers in the world, what she says now about this whole thing about, so what about exercise? In addition to diet, exercise is a missing link to successful weight loss. Although exercise supports overall health and wellness, I was shocked to learn that many experts say that it does not work as a lone strategy for losing weight. Maintaining an active lifestyle is proven to help people live longer and healthier. It is not the sole solution. It is only part of the key to weight loss, right? So exercise does not help people lose weight in most people, but only helps them to not gain any pounds. This is somewhat profound, etc. But the bottom line is, yes, they gain 6 to 9% lean muscle mass with no exercise and shrank the visceral fat by 33%. And you can go, again, let me put it up there for you. You can go, this is free, the new health conversation. Go there, see the medical, including, you'll see right in the study, they broke down what happened to blood pressure, what happened to blood sugar, what happened to cholesterol, what happened to triglycerides. Inflammation went down 25% in a month, Kath, in a month. I mean, nothing is made up. It's all there for you. And if you like what you see, you can sign up for a free consultation. So the researchers weren't against exercise. But imagine if you exercise and did this, and we work with professional athletes, we work with CrossFit people, marathoners, you name it, triathletes, etc. But in this case, imagine, to gain lean muscle mass is as a matter of fact, on conventional means, the researchers say to gain 1 pound of lean muscle takes you 12 months if you're doing conventional diet, whatever. But this program blew it up because what was happening is people were getting the equivalent, the amount of nutrition would have taken in regular food would have been like maybe 8 or 10,000 calories a day. And you can imagine if you're consuming 8 or 10,000 calories a day, nothing good's going to happen. So I hope all of you will take the time to go to that website, which is a research website. You can see it right there, the New Health Conversation. I know you're skeptical. I do 3 or 4 or 5 of these podcasts every single day because so many people need to at least have an option. I'm not selling you books. As a matter of fact, you go to my website, there's no books on there. You can't buy books. But you can see the evidence. Again, Shannon, so let me explain to you how it works, Shannon. We want to be completely neutral. We created that free medical site so you can go and see all the medical evidence first, including the interview with the number one, I was calling you Kathy, I'm sorry, Shannon. I got too many people in my mind, right? You can see for yourself the medical proof. But here's the more important thing, Shannon, an interview with the number one nutritional researcher in the world who points out that this is not a diet. They're the top researchers in the world, and they said they'd never recommend a traditional diet to anybody ever again, because why would they recommend a diet that took people 8 weeks to lose weight that people lost in a week, and on every diet they ever studied, after the 8 weeks or 10, whatever, people were losing 40% of their lean muscle mass, where here they gained 6 to 9% lean muscle. So once you do that, if you like what you see, it says free consultation in several places. That consultation for you, Shannon, is 100% free. And the reason that we do it, we don't know anything about you. So, for example, do you want to gain weight? Do you want to lose weight? Do you have any medical challenges, okay? I promise it's not a bait and switch. We're not going to twist your arm. We're not there to sell you or convince you. We're there to say, okay, based on what you want to do, but also we need to know what have you tried in the past? What's worked or what hasn't worked, okay? So you have no risk. Oh, a couple more things, Shannon. Even you talk about the cost per month. Only 40% of the food you're buying now would you buy from the grocery store. The other 60% of the food would come from these. I would say most people say probably maybe they're spending over what they're spending now, maybe another $100 a month. But keep in mind, you're buying the equivalent of thousands of calories of food, but this food contains nutrition you can't get. But also, 2 more things, Shannon, if you decide to do it. Number one, I know it sounds good to be true. I'm even saying it. I'm saying this is crazy. You get a coach for free, not somebody on an 800 number, a real coach, and not me, I have nothing to do with what foods they used in the medical trials that we wrote about in the books, right? But the fulfillment companies that supplied the foods that come from all over the world, the 60% of the food you'd buy, the first 30 days, 100% money back guarantee, no questions asked. They'll even pay return shipping. That's how confident that it will work. Try to do that with other, because you can't really, who do you go after if you're doing time-restricted eating and it doesn't work? Well, I guess there are people that are selling you diet books, et cetera. And I'm not saying that, look, nothing's 100%. I'd be dumb. I'd be dumber than a bag of rocks if I said that. And I'd like to think that I'm at least as smart as a rock. The point is, you have no risk. Your risk is you continue to do whatever it is you're doing now and thinking somehow you're going to beat the odds. There are studies now saying that 2/3 of people who go on diets to reduce calories to lose weight gain back more than what they lost. Oh, good, Shannon. So I hope you will put it up there for you again. Shannon, if you don't mind, honestly, what we pride ourselves, or I guess I pride myself because I started the movement, the New Health Conversation, not trying to brag. Yes, it's called R2M, but program, it changes drastically. So R2M, Shannon, stands for Race to Maintenance. Our whole goal is to get you to your goal as quickly and safely as possible and then show you how to get there. Because again, I know it sounds crazy, Shannon, but most women, they lose a whole dress size in the first week. I joke with women and say, you know what the most expensive part of this program is? And I'm assuming, and I shouldn't assume anything. I don't know if you want to lose weight or gain weight, doesn't matter. But I tell people all the time, the most expensive part of this program is the new wardrobe you're going to have to buy. Because your clothes they'll stop not fitting you within a week. Because again, it's not a diet. You're shrinking the visceral fat because your body is removing the chemicals stored in those fat cells. And in its place, you're building lean muscle. Yeah, I think would you be on this for life? Well, all I can tell you is this, Shannon. I lost 40 pounds 21 years ago. I've kept it off for 21 years. And I don't want to stop and put it back on. And maintenance is really pretty simple. The complicated part is the first part to kind of get you from point A to point B, and then to continue. Otherwise, it makes no sense. Shannon, I'm sure you probably, I don't know, maybe you've been on diets before, but everybody I've ever talked to has been on a diet. Yeah, they lost weight and they were terrified. They were going to the gym just to make sure they didn't weigh more once they stopped the diet than they did when they started, and they all gained back at least as much weight as they lost. And like I said, in these new studies, 66 and 2/3 of the people end up weighing more than what they did when they started. And we got 80% of America overweight and 50% are obese. It's not an obligation, but it's like, I can't imagine not doing. Why would I go back to what I was doing before? And it's not that you can never have wine again or pizza or Haagen-Dazs, whatever you want to do. It's not a diet. It doesn't work like that. But one of the most, yeah, Shannon, you're 1,000,000% right. In the studies, they had people now, because a peer-reviewed human study takes a long time. So in the study, some of the people now spend more than 2 years. I know one gentleman, I think he lost 150 pounds. He's kept it off now. It's been more than 2 years. But there are lots of other stories like that. It would make no sense to do this, to spend your time, that's all we have is time. We all get 168 hours a week. That's it. Time, money, effort to get to a point where you're not going to get there on any diet. Why wouldn't you want to stay there? You know what I'm saying? I'm in violent agreement with you. I'm in a violent agreement with everybody. But where is there? Oh, anyway, I see someone just came on. This is what we've been talking about for the last hour. Sorry, Why Diets Are Failing Us. And actually, I'm the author of the book by that title. It's really me. It's live. It's not recording. It's not Memorex, etc. Okay. So, Shannon, I would think that you would. It's up to you. But you have nothing. What's your risk? That we're lying to you? Well, that's not going to cost you. We're not, but let's say, I mean, honestly, you get a free coach. In the first 30 days, the 60% of the food you're buying, which is food you can't buy at the grocery store, there's a 100% money back guarantee, including they'll pay return shipping. That has nothing to do with me. That's what they did in the medical trials. And that's what we teach you. But it's not just about what you're consuming. I'm sorry. It's not just about what the rest of the ingredients are. And I should have told you that. There's two principles. One is called protein pacing that they teach you, and something called intermittent nutritional fasting. Not fasting, not time restricted eating. So hopefully that sounds like it's of interest to you or to anybody else. I guess I shouldn't be surprised or shocked or whatever you would want to say that people are skeptical. They should be. But who else is offering you a free consultation, a free coach, and 100% money back guarantee? Where's the risk? So anyway, I'm going to close this out now. And for any of you that want to, I'm going to put this is a free resource site. Okay, hold on just a second. You can see it there, the New Health Conversation, all the medical. Well, okay, so Shannon, and again, Shannon, please understand, I'm not trying to sell books, okay? So the first one, there was a huge bestseller in 2010 called Why Diets Are Failing Us. This is the second or third edition. Then the TDOS Syndrome. I'm on Amazon, by the way. They're all on Amazon. TDOS Solutions, and my most recent book, Your Third Brain, which is not a trick title, which really centered on our gut health, et cetera. All my books I've written with major medical doctors. And if you want to do it, that's fine. You don't need to. Look, what I would invite you to do, and I'm inviting you, okay? I promise you go to that resource site. Really read it like your life depended on. It doesn't, but you know what I'm saying. It'll shock you. You go, why aren't more, people that end up doing the free consultation and then go on the protocol, why doesn't everybody know about this? Because it is complicated, and because up until a year ago, we didn't have the 7 peer-reviewed human trial studies that we have now. Those medical studies mean everything because they're irrefutable. It's not an opinion. Peter Greenlaw is not giving you an opinion. That's why we wrote the books. But we decided, wait a minute, we don't want to penalize. People don't, maybe I'm too altruistic. Maybe I'm dumb. Otherwise, hey, you got to buy my book. Because I see influencers certainly on TikTok doing that, we'll show you how to lose 20 pounds in a month and buy our $60 program and then you can see the recipes. That's nonsense. We have 1,000,000% we don't care. We're giving you all that research for free for you to look at, to convince yourself. We don't want to convince you. That's way too difficult. All I can tell you, Shannon, we have an expression. We say, just give us 4 days. Because I'm not kidding you. Most men and women with no exercise will lose as much weight in the first 4 days as a month. I know it sounds crazy. We see it all the time. And like I said, if you exercise, it's even more. But that's why you need a coach, and we also supply you with, it's called the blueprint for success. If you're familiar with blueprints, you can't build a house or a building without a blueprint, right? So there are daily video tutorials. Everything's laid out. Here's the food list. Here's the other foods. There's nothing left to chance. But explaining to you and showing you how to do it is really critical. It's not just like, hey, click a button. No, it doesn't work like that, okay? So anyway, I hope all of you enjoyed this podcast today, and I hope you'll like my TikTok site of the same name, The New Health Conversation. I'm going to put it up for the new people coming on one last time. This is a free research site. There's nothing to buy there. There's nothing, no one's going to call you or convince you. But if you like what you see, which most people do, you can sign up for a free consultation. Because again, do you want to gain weight, lose weight, you want more energy, what's your primary focus? Okay? So anyway, everyone, I'm going to sign off now, and I would really encourage you to go to that website, The New Health Conversation, right? You can see it right there, The New Health Conversation, which is a free research medical website with all the evidence about this breakthrough in weight loss that has taken 38 years to discover, where men and women are losing as much weight in 7 days as in 8 weeks of any diet, losing as much weight in a month as a year on any diet, and gaining. Well, Shannon, thank you for following me. I really appreciate it. But do yourself a favor, not me. It's for your benefit. Go there, and I'd just be very fascinated to see what you think, when you go there, because it sounds like you're in search of the truth. You're in search of a solution, I believe. I'll probably be live again. Let's see, I'm in Denver. It's 11:13 here, so it's 1:13 on the East Coast. Probably in 2 hours or less. You can, my TikTok site, you can see it. It's at The New Health. And by the way, we spelled conversation wrong, and I don't know how to change it. It's The New Health Conversation on TikTok. So there's no R, conversation. I know it sounds crazy, but that's what we did. So again, you can see that. I think somehow if you get on there, then they notify you if I am going live. I'm doing at least 3 to 5 of these a day. You can invite anybody you want to, et cetera. But I hope we'll have time to maybe go to the New Health Conversation, the medical resource site right there. For the new people coming on, it's free to go there. So anyway, Shannon, have a wonderful day, and I hope you'll take us up on the offer, and could really, really make a difference for you. So for everybody, have a wonderful day.